Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to today's edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called I Meet My In-Laws, written by Luke Was Not Here. I'm kidding. I'm joshing you, straight up lying to you. I have never joked about something harder in my life. If forced to describe Scout's and I relationship using family terms, we would be two twins that hate each other's guts, but still vaguely, and against their will, care about each other. I also never plan on getting married. I haven't grown out of my girls or icky phase. I'm also legally an adult. Stop it, you gotta burn the food, Scout interrupted my cooking. Her hands already full of plates. She used her bat to smack me with the hips away. I tried not to trip and walk off. But about fighting, I've never seen you so manic before. I watched Scott in a stained white apron angrily mix. Honestly, no idea what it was. Mostly danger red and edible green. An alien vegetable dish, or she's finally gonna poison me. You've met my mom and dad before, right? She said her mixing was an assault now. Yes, sometimes I wonder if I shouldn't let myself get assassinated, and remembered and thought out loud. When you meet my two cousins, you're gonna throw yourself out the window. She was completely deadpan. Jesus, why? I said at the table. The Scrackrans, and because my 6th great-grandmother invented FTL, we all think that we're better than everyone. Even though we've done nothing as important, Scott sighed. I was awfully self-aware. You really aren't okay, I said, and took a step back from the deranged woman. Hey, I didn't say I disagreed. We're awesome. Scott pointed her tail at me for emphasis. We heard a knock on the door. Scott swore in several languages and ripped off her apron. You know the plan. Scare the two or annoy them. I want them out of my apartment as fast as possible, Scott whispered, but with the intent of a motherly yell. She opened the door and I saw two links in the hallway. Scout spoke in link. I understood some of it, mostly extremely polite hellos. Her cousins looked at me, stiffened and stood up straighter, like how you're supposed to make yourself larger when you see a black bear. I thought about how scaring them may actually be easier than annoying them, but come on, they're rich. I'm going to try and annoy them so much they'll want to be doing the defenstration. All I have to do is act like myself. Hello, I said, with common which I was okay at speaking. I did my best to dissuade them of the fact. Hello, they all said, and with a respectful bow. I did not bow back. Behind them, Scott gave a subtle thumbs up and smiled to me. Okay, everyone, please sit, Scout said. I remembered that in Link culture, the oldest sits down first. I ran over to my seat and loudly planted my booty down first. The two looked at me, shocked, then went about their normal order. I did my best to look oblivious. They looked slightly older than Scout and I. One guy and one girl. Your apartment is a bit small, don't you think, Scout? I could probably let you live in one of mine, one cousin said and smirked. Yes, you're in a terrible area. We can find a better place for you, I am sure. The other added with a percussive kind of snobbishness. Scout lived in a massive apartment in one of the safest parts of downtown. Oh my God, I wanted to throw them out the window and watch their wallets shower people below with money. I burped as loud as possible. The two flinched but tried to find a comeback. Oh, I am so sorry. We forgot all about you. I'm Thomas Scrarkran. He offered his hand like it was a prize. I'm told humans like to shake hands. Yes, terribly sorry about forgetting you. I'm Delilah Scrarkran. She also offered up her hand, expecting me to kiss it. Okay, I said, and stared at the hands aimlessly. They looked at me and put their hands down awkwardly. I'm hungry. I grabbed the food I actually cook, chicken tenders and fries, because I'm cultured. The two idiots who happened to be guests looked at me with wide eyes and back to Scout. Their eyes saying, what is he doing? Doesn't he know about the dinner rule 78 and of half? Or something like that. Scout shrugged and started to eat. Oh crap, sorry I'm late. I heard a voice in the hallway. Scout smiled for once and ran over to hug whoever was there. So good to see you, Elizabeth, Scout said. Yeah, you too. I'm hungry. Let's eat. Elizabeth walked over. Oh no, I quietly said to myself in English. Scout's third cousin was my greatest weakness. She was pretty. She was pretty, the distracting kind that makes me unable to speak or think chronologically. I looked at Scout, and we began another of our eyebrow-only conversations. Why didn't you warn me about your pretty cousin? You know how I self-destruct when I'm around pretty woman. I wiggled my eyebrows in panic. Yeah, I know, that's why I didn't tell you. I know you'd panic about it. Don't be mean to Elizabeth. Be mean to Delilah and Thomas. You're good at pissing people off." She furrowed her eyebrows in an annoyed repose. By the time the scout finished and Elizabeth sat down. "Hi, I'm Elizabeth," she said casually to me, like it wasn't the most important name in the world. "What's your name?" She even remembered I was also a person, too. Oh, heavens. I'm screwed. I wonder if she was adopted. "Hi, I'm Theseus," I mumbled. "Nice to meet you, Theseus. How'd you and my little cousin get to know each other?" she said, and grabbed Scout up a side hug. I turned back to the two annoying cousins. They looked at me and then Elizabeth. They had knowing and evil smiles. "We bumped into each other in the street," I quietly said aloud. "Then Scout threatened to shoot me," I shouted in my head. "Ah, that's sweet," Elizabeth said, and actually meant it. "So, Theseus, tell me about yourself. What's your beautiful home like?" Thomas asked. He didn't mean it, and drank his wine to cover up his laughing. I had an insult lined up, and but got another glimpse of Elizabeth. "I live in a studio bobbing over a bar," I said, trying not to scare her. "Oh, how novel. Which bar?" Delilah said, more condescendingly than I thought possible. "It's the neighborhood secret. Everyone likes it so much that we all promised not to tell anyone about it." I looked at my chicken tenders and tried not to shout, "Why would I want to tell you where I live?" at her. "Oh, how sweet." Delilah took a great effort to make a pause between the words as awkward as possible. "So where are you going to college, Theseus?" Thomas leaned in and asked. He was sure of the answer. "I'm not in college, just working right now," I said. Thomas smiled happily that his assumption was painfully accurate. "Because I'm a private investigator, and that's way more cool and dangerous than college," I thought, and tried not to shout. Elizabeth kept looking more and more sorry for me. "Oh, that's fine. I took a gap year, too. I worked with my father in his law practice. What do your parents do, Theseus? I'm sure it's better than what Scouts does," Delilah asked, and landed the final blow against my self-preservation and politeness. I looked back at Elizabeth, and dear God, she was so pretty, so nice. Her pity on her face was so sweet in an harmful way. I looked at Scout, who was completely red with embarrassment because her cousins mistook cruelty for pride and confidence. I gave Scout the nod, and she gave it back and to grant me permission. I looked at Elizabeth and knew this was the last time she was going to feel sorry for me. "Do you know what defenestration means?" I said, defenestration in English, to them. "No," they both said, taken aback with my newfound confidence and word. "It is the act of throwing somebody out a window. Every person that has had an unfortunate labor of meeting you wanted to throw you out of the nearest window. People who did not have a window nearby wished they did," I said, eerily calm. Always like when I got truly annoyed. "You, Delilah, do you know what I do for work? I'm a private investigator. That means detail. I know that bag is a knockoff, and I know you're too stupid to notice. Same thing with the cheap dress." That was a lie. The dress was bag were real. "You, Thomas, the arsehole engine. I know for a fact that whatever poor college had to take you was the only because of your daddy's money. I mean, do your parents even like you? You're trying to one-up your own cousin. Who hurt you?" The worst part was I was actually asking it genuinely. He stood in a huff. "Oh, sit back down, you idiot! Or did you forget? Forget the fear you all have?" I asked, and he suddenly remembered I was human. He was too frozen to sit down. "That you're standing on a planet we freed. Now, there was an empire here once, and we burned it to the ground. What my parents do, they met on this planet in a bar I live over, while they were under gunfire, freeing this planet's people from their oppressors, while your parents watched the revolution like cowards and didn't help. Are you familiar with the game? My dad could beat up your dad because my mother could beat up your whole family." I leaned towards his trembling face. My parents did meet in the war. They're harmless now. My mother, a vegetarian and elementary school teacher. My dad's a carpenter. He mostly makes wooden toys. In the war, they rarely fought. Mostly, they were both cooks. Damn good, too. "So how about you disrespectfully rich brats get out of my best friend's very nice apartment before I, and say it nice and clear," looked at them and waited. "Defenestration us," they both said, grabbed their things and ran out screaming. I remembered Elizabeth, looked over at her, and prepared for the worst. She looked at me with wide-eyed and a painful pause. "I can see why you like him." She laughed and smiled at Scout. "Best friend?" Scout started to laugh at me. It was an accident. Half of what I said was the horse crap anyway. I hate your stupid face, I yelled, and ate my chicken tenders and fries. God damn it! End of story. Aria 050 Dragzoon WRE and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.